Hello everybody. It's a nice evening here in Texas. Really nice evening. The temperature is so good. We're supposed to only be, I think, in the 60s tonight. And the high today was maybe like the mid 70s, low 70s. Them perfect temperatures, boy. Perfect temperatures. But we're still lacking rain, and it's a problem. It is a problem. And that's farm life right there. Right there. You're always at the mercy of the elements. The winter's too cold, the winter's too dry, the summer's too hot, the summer's too dry, then there's too much rain, your fields are boggy, you can't get in and collect your crop. It ends up overgrowing, laying down, rotting. It's like you're always at the mercy of nature. It's insects, it's worms, it's something, you got to spend money for pesticides, insecticides, or herbicides, or you choose to try to not use poisons and you lose a lot of your crop, and you need more land than you normally would because you're going to lose part of your crop if you don't use pesticides, insecticides, and herbicides. Yeah, the mercy to the elements, and it's a tough life. And exactly what I want to say. I'm I'm tired. I'm tired. I've busted my butt every which direction my whole life, running companies, building stuff, always on a hustle, always trying to hurry up so I can have retirement early. And that was always my mission, retire earlier. Especially after my mom passed away at 56 years old, that was an eye opener. And I spent my time in the past, decade and a half or so doing a lot of working hard, but going to the Philippines back and forth, goofing off as well. And I fell in love with the Philippines. I fell in love with the laid back lifestyle and realized that so many material things, but I still like some material things, but so many material things are not important. And it's those things that you're actually working so hard for because your money's disappearing to those material things all the time. Well, like I say, I do like some material things, but we don't have to have so much. In the U.S., of course, we're known for excess. We're known for excess. And I'm just wanting to wind down. I am absolutely wanting to wind down. That's what I worked so hard when I was younger for, with several irons in the fire at the same time, running a trailer business and a satellite and cell phone and electronics store, a variety of different things, and car stereos, and all the stuff that I did there, building buildings, and just in a constant hustle, in a constant hustle, always like cars. I was in the car business, of every facet of the car business, from buying and selling cars to automotive shop, repairing cars and doing upholstery and doing glass and doing trim and doing customizations. And whew, have I done a lot. I think y'all probably see it in this channel because it reflects in the vast knowledge I have in so many fields, you know, home model, home remodeling, doing work for the public, doing repair work and remodeling on houses and addition stuff, and building my own homes and rent houses. My goodness, I have hustled. My whole goal was to quit early in life. Like I say, I spent a lot of time goofing off, going to the Philippines as well, and but knowing where I wanted to be, and that's where I want to be. Honestly, it's where I want to be. I want to be at, And now it's time that I make that move. And I'm gonna tell you, I know that some of you like to see the stuff happening here on Texas farm. And some of you are really tired of it, and y'all really signed up wanting to see me building and doing stuff in the Philippines. I'm gonna face some realities here. My father, he always kept saying, James, just get rid of those cows. Don't try to keep them. Just get rid of them. It's a losing proposition. You got to either go really big, and it's going to take a whole lot more land, or you're going to have to step out. Now, I've been more profitable with the cows than my father was. I absolutely have. I took him over a few years before he passed. I helped him with them from the day that we got our first cow for this herd. I've been side by side with my father on that. Man, oh man, have I been side by side with him on that. And he definitely wasted a lot of money in the cattle that I don't. And I do come out better than he did, without a doubt at all. But now, at the amount that I've cut the herd down to, and I'm trying to keep the property in ag and baling hay and got the cows and all, you got to keep it in ag. And if y'all don't know what ag exemption is, you have a residential and a commercial tax. Commercial buildings get a commercial tax rate. A house and the property that the house is on gets a residential rate. Now, they're not going to give you 100 acres with your house as a residential rate. They can. I mean, now let me restate that. Your house, and if you own 100 acres, they will give every bit of that as a residential rate with a really high tax. But say like you count the house and 1 acre, your house and 1 acre as residential, and then all the rest of the land, for instance, this ain't no dead set measurements, okay, can be put in ag as long as it's doing something that is producing. It can't be horses. Some states might allow it, I don't know, but this state, it's not supposed to be horses. It's got to be crops like hay and cattle or sheep, or it could be orchards, it could be grain crops. I'm just giving some for instances. This could be fish farms, but it's got to be productive fish farms, not you say you got that. They need to see proof if they ever audit you on that, that you are actually raising fish and selling them, and that it is a viable business. So with that, you get an ag exemption on your property taxes, meaning you don't pay very much on property taxes. Like my land, just a few $100s a year in ag, but if I lost that out of ag, it might be $25,000-$30,000 a year at current property prices. So it's very, very vital to keep it in ag. Very vital. Now, another way you can do that, if you don't want to do it yourself, is to lease the property out to somebody that has a viable ag operation. Like someone else that's running cattle, you can lease it out and run cattle on your land, or they can come bale hay off your land. But it needs to be something going on there. They can't come by here and it's grown up 10 foot tall and bushes and nothing happening. They're going to call your bluff on that one. So you want to get a lease, and you want that lease with somebody that has a current ag exempt, cattle operation, and you can do it that way. That way you're not personally yourself having to raise hay and work cows and all. Somebody else is, and you have that lease to prove it. And if they want to come by, they're going to see their cattle here, or they're going to see their hay here. And those are for instances. You could lease it out for somebody that wants to raise grain. Maybe they're going to drill in wheat or rye or corn or soy or cotton or something, and they're going to see that. But as long as you put it in with somebody else that's got a viable ag operation. Well, with the amount of cows that I have right now, here's the trick. They're not profitable now. When I had twice as many, 3 times as many, they were. But now if you take in our airfare to go to the Philippines and be back here to bale hay, manage the cattle about half the year personally myself, you take that out of how many of your yearlings that you're going to raise and bring to market is it going to take to pay for mine and Melinda's airfare, because we have to return back and then go back again back to the Philippines if we want to live half the time there, half the time here. Well, then you've got to take the money deduct for paying somebody to manage your cattle while you're gone and mend your fences if a tree falls or a car runs through it or our cows get to fighting our bulls and tear a fence down. How many of your yearlings that you're going to take to market now is that going to have to be to cover that expense? And then you're going to come back here and bale hay. Well, you got diesel, you got your personal time, but you got your fuel, your oil changes, your hydraulics, your repairs. You're going to blow a hose, you're going to break a belt, you're going to have damages to happen to equipment. There's no way around it. It's going to happen. You got a lot of machinery there, a lot of moving parts. You got a hay cutter, you got a rake, you got a hay baler, you've got tractors there with a lot of moving parts. You've got to get the hay off the field. You got trailers to get it off the field. You know, you've got all the fuel for all that moving and action, and you got time that you're going to go back and maybe you need to reseed like I just did and all, and the money for that. You're going to have to buy the twine or wrap materials for the hay. You've got to move the hay off the field. So you got a lot of time involved in that. How many yearlings is it going to take to cover for that? How many dollars worth was that hay worth that you fed those that's going to take to cover for all of that? Now, in a perfect year, I only have 35 head of mama cows left. So in a perfect year, but no year is ever perfect in cattle business, you'd have 35 head. Well, what if you had to spend 15 of those or 20 of those, you know, by the time you whittled it down? And, you know, even taxes too, you know. And you're going to have income tax out of that, maybe, you know, unless you had enough deductions. How many of those head did it take? Did it take 20? Did it take 22? Did it take 15? But when you get it all boiled down, did you have enough money left over to make it worthwhile to do all that? And at this point, I don't feel so. I don't feel that I do. So then Melinda and I were trying to make a decision. Are we going to keep any cows at all? Are we going to keep 5? You know, and maybe just run a little old small herd just for the joy of it. But we're not going to be here to be one-on-one with them. And to give them the personal care, it's still going to mean you're going to have to impose on somebody else or pay somebody else to come watch after those. They're not, he's going to roam wild like buffalo on the plains, you know. So you might be to the point that you just need to rid them all. And that goes back to what my father said. He said and said, James, just get rid of them. It's a losing proposition. He said, actually, just bale hay. Just bale the hay off of it and sell the hay. I did that for the past couple of years. I didn't sell hay this year, but the year before and year before that I did. But once again, how much hay are you going to have to roll to pay for all that return coming back here and getting in those tractors and running all that equipment and everything? Is it going to be worth it? You know, if you spend, now with airfare so high, you got to remember that, and fuel so high, is it going to be worth it to make that trip here? You know, are you going to get enough money out of hay? How many rolls are you going to have to sell to cover your expenses and your airfare to return from the Philippines? So when you're making this choice to wind down or to choose to live over there, man, you've got to make a serious choice now, a really, really serious choice. You've got to really put the math to it and be smart and wise. And basically it's going to mean that you're going to have to stop. Solar light, come on. Gotta love those solar lights. Gotta love them. So you're going to have to probably just wind it to a halt. Now, what we'll probably leave behind is some rent houses, and just a few right here on my property. You know, just a few right here close to me, just in the area. But we don't want rent houses all scattered around, and we got to impose a bunch on people to take care of that. So you've got to keep that manageable. And yeah, you're going to say, oh, you can get a real estate company to do that, but they're going to take the lion's share of your money. So once again, is it worth it? Because you're carrying all the risk and they're going to make all the profit. So it's time to make some decisions, some decisions, some decisions. And it's probably gonna be my last year farming. I think so. I think so. Now I'll probably keep one of my tractors and having, still gonna have property I want to do maintenance to. There might be times we're here and I want to mow or pull a tree down or lift something. Probably keep my orange tractor with front end loader. Might keep my John Deere just because I want to. Just because I love a good old John Deere. Yeah, I'm not in no hurt that I've just desperately got to sell it or nothing like that. But I don't want to be like my mother. When I retire, when I retire, when I retire, I'm going to do this and that. And she never saw that retirement. And I don't want to be like my father, that by the time he was ready to give it up, his body done gave up. Got to remember that too. Um, you can't buy back this time. You can't buy it back. And that's why we try to work when we're young and make smart choices. So anybody out there that's young that you're listening, listen. Enjoy your life. Buy you some toys. Have fun with them. That's part of life. Have fun. Not saying be super boring and don't spend no money while you're growing up. I'm not going to say that at all. I've wasted some money. I had some fun. Dude, have fun. But don't do ridiculously stupid stuff, and do think about tomorrow, and don't set yourself in the system and the rut that you can only retire by the time you're already aged out, when they've already run all they can out of the horse and they turn him out to the pasture to lay down and die. Don't be like that. That's that corporate system here in the U.S. And I'd say one of the beautiful things about the United States is entrepreneurship. Entrepreneurship. It can be a little bit of a headache. You're going to have a good brain about you to manage it, but that's going to be your ticket to freedom and your ticket to get ahead. Yeah, that's my opinion. Now, that's my opinion, but that was what absolutely worked for me. Really worked for my father. He just did not know when to give up the ghost. Yeah, he just didn't know when. Everybody kept telling him, Dennis, it's time to give it up. Oh, just a few more years, just a few more years. And boy, I want to go up to the Yukon or the Northwest Territory. And James, we're going to go hunt caribou, or we're going to get, moose somewhere, or we're going to drop back in there and get one of those big old elk. Because I did love to go hunt with my father, and I miss my father with that. Boy, I do. There was some blessed times, but we didn't get to make that trip into the Yukon. We didn't get to make that trip dropped into the Northwest Territory. And I wish he gave it up a little sooner. So I'm going to give it up a little sooner. Y'all probably see a little bit of farming videos, not much. I'm going to cut it back. And I'm going to figure out when we return back from the Philippines this trip of what I'm going to do. Probably not going to sell no land. I don't want anybody thinking I'm about to sell land. I'm not. But probably going to lease it to one of my cousins. I probably am. And then they can be mowing it. They can be plowing it. They can be running crops. And I can just enjoy them. And if I come home and they're doing all that and they want some help, hey, I can get out there and help them for free. Just to enjoy the camaraderie with my family. But I think that's where it's going. And you all are welcome to comment. I want to hear all about what you have to say. But just making a life announcement. And that's why we're here doing this right here. Why we're here packing up ballot buying boxes and sending over for the absolute stuff that we want from here in the U.S. This is choice we're making. Melinda, she's on board with it now. Melinda, she likes the U.S. Do you not like it?
Yes, I like it. Of course, everybody always dream to go in US.
But she also loves to be with her family, her nieces, her nephews. And if you had your choice to be with your family all the time and enjoy them daily, or to be here, which would it be?
Well, I love to be there than here.
And our life seems to go pretty good when we're there too, doesn't it?
Yes, yeah.
Yeah. It does. I mean, you wake up at the most beautiful sunrises. You end the day with the most beautiful sunsets. We start our day with the nieces and nephews and neighbors and the neighborhood kids and all the energy of the young children.
Yes, and I love it. And I get bored over here.
It's true.
Just get
It's
bored.
true. You know, she searches out for friendships, but those friendships just aren't the same as true family, you know.
Exactly.
They're just not the same. So if you could be with your family instead of an artificial family abroad, you know, that's the choice to make. And my family's got pretty thin, you know, really thin and really busy. So I've adopted Melinda's family, and I enjoy them and I love them.
But
So
generally, is we love over there, and we are more enjoy our life there.
absolutely, absolutely. And you know what? The Philippines is a promising place. I'm well acclimated to it. I'm going in my 17th year now. Man, I've said in the past videos 15 years and then 16 years, and now I can tell I'm going into my 17th year. And going in to this spring will be mine and Melinda's 8th year together
Yes,
already.
yeah,
Yeah,
8 years.
8 years already.
Time flows so fast.
It does.
Just a
So,
blink of eye.
you know, I'm well acclimated over there. I've not just been in one part of the Philippines only. I've bounced around. Tell us what you think about it. Appreciate you watching this video. I look forward just to being in the Philippines and me and this girl being on the beach, going walking, cruising around up in the mountains.
Enjoying life.
Yeah, seeing waterfalls, snorkeling, fishing, hopefully diving, building stuff, and sharing the things that I know how to do with others. Maybe pass a little knowledge forward. And just appreciate you watching this.
Thank you, everyone. God and God bless.